Minute podcast. I'm Jason Gilbo at JGilbo11. This is Russell Clay at Russell J Clay, and an unusual 6-game slate tonight for Thursday, which is nice. Great. It's been a great week of basketball.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun, and hopefully we can make it more fun and not tilting tonight, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's no Anthony Davis to get injured, so we're looking decent. It's already looking like a good slate.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk about some Vegas games, some games to target right now, and obviously I think Pelicans Kings is number one on the radar tonight, just with the 215 total, and the Kings 109 team total, Pelicans 106. So I think that's your best game of the night to target.
It's become pretty consistent that the Kings are an every night target. You don't even need the Vegas lines to tell you that like you're looking at a team that has some pretty talented players and is pretty weak defensively. So yeah, that's another night that you want to target that game specifically.
Yeah. Next one on the list, Washington and Denver. That's the second highest one, and that's a great game to really target because there's a lot of options in that game, from GPP value guys to those mid-price guys like Otto Porter, Gallinari. So it's got something to offer for everyone.
Right. I think some of the ownership percentages might be on your side here, and we may disagree. Me and Jason may disagree a little bit tonight, but I do like a lot of the perimeter players in that game. So yeah, that's definitely one that I'm liking to target.
Yeah. Another one we kind of disagree on is Indiana and Atlanta. 201 total, not bad there. I'm a big Paul George fan tonight, and I know you like him, but you're not as high on him as I am.
Right, and we'll just say it now, but I kind of like paying up a little bit for John Wall tonight, and Jason likes Paul George, so this will be our first angry battle of the basketball season.
Yeah, we're going in a little bit different directions tonight, but still on the same page regardless.
Yeah.
Lakers Bulls. This one is a blowout concern tonight. The Bulls are 8.5-point favorites, but I mean, if no Kobe, if no Lou Williams play tonight, I mean, it's kind of hard to see what the Lakers can do against this Bulls team. Even though they haven't been great defensively this year, I still think there is a possible blowout.
Yeah, no, major blowout potential here, but I also think a lot of people are going to be looking at that and saying potential blowout. So I think it kind of evens itself out, and there's some decent values in that game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if you look at the Chicago Bulls, I mean, I think they're great GPP options tonight because, as you mentioned, I think everyone's going to look at it and say blowout potential. But, I mean, guys like Jimmy Butler, definitely in play. Pau Gasol would be an incredible spin-off for Cousins if you have the plums to do that. But, I mean, he's definitely in play. He's got a great matchup. So, I think Bulls targets are definitely in play tonight, regardless of the blowout.
Definitely.
Toronto and Knicks, Melo is ruled out, so I'm curious to see where this one goes. Still waiting on Lowry news, but Toronto is sitting at 9.5-point favorites, and you like this game.
Yeah. Fire up your Derek Williams shares, and who knows? Yeah, I really like the Knicks sort of value plays tonight, so that should be an interesting, definitely one of my favorite games.
Yeah, and we'll break down more of those value plays as we go through the positions. Right. But last one of the night, Memphis and Milwaukee. It's not a bad total at 195. Grizzlies expected to score 100 points, Milwaukee 95, so it's not bad. In comparison to the other games, it looks bad.
Yeah, I'm just not seeing the ceiling for a lot of these players tonight. I think a lot of them could potentially get close to their value, but even if they hit it, I'm not sure it kind of makes sense in terms of roster construction for these players tonight.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably, one guy like at most from each side who are decent cash game options, but like you said, I'm probably not going to be touching that one for tournaments because the ceiling's not there for a lot of those guys.
Mm-hmm.
But more to power point guard, not skipping ahead of power forward.
We could. Hey, you want to switch it up?
You like John Wall as a top option tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't argue. I mean, he's in a great spot. He's a little bit high priced for me for what he's been doing.
On FanDuel, I would probably lean more towards fading him just because he's 9,600, and that's a lot. But for 9,100 on DraftKings, I really like him as a play. He hasn't been playing great of late, but I think if anything, that'll make his ownership percentage lower. I just love this matchup tonight, and I think I just love this matchup for him tonight.
Yeah. No, I mean, the matchup's great. I think he's more of a GPP play for me because I think Rondo's my favorite cash game option tonight, who's,
Mm-hmm.
over 1,000 cheaper than Wall. I mean, like you mentioned, the DK pricing is a little different because he's only, 700 more than Rondo. But, I mean, Rondo's got 7 double-doubles in the last 10 games. He's been much more consistent of late. And then without Rudy Gay, I mean, both Cousins and Rondo they take a big bump, I guess you could say. And plus that matchup, I mean, it's the highest hole of the night. It's hard for me to get away from Rondo.
That's a fair argument, and if I wasn't already, if my heels weren't already dug into the ground, maybe I'd agree, but I don't. So you're wrong. No, I'm just kidding. Rondo's a good play as well, but I do like Wall. I think he's the clear top option at the position tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree with you there. I mean, it's a great spot. The injury news tonight, it's Kyle Lowry. I can't say he didn't practice yesterday. He's considered questionable for today. He said it was no big deal. But you got to see heading into the All-Star break, getting some lengthy time. It's against the Knicks at home, who are without Melo tonight. Maybe they rest him. If they do, Corey Joseph is going to come in and be a great value play tonight, especially near bare minimum price. I mean, him and DeRozan will control the backcourt there, and you got to like him a lot.
Yeah, that's going to be important because if you can fit him in, I mean, he's 3,600 on DraftKings and he is 3,700 on FanDuel. So that's a really nice value if you can get him in, and he's going to get solid minutes if Lowry sits.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of actually like that game a little bit more because if Lowry does play, maybe the blowout factor is not as strong just because you get one big offensive player out on both sides there. So if you're looking at other options, Derrick Rose has the questionable tag, but he is probable tonight, which kind of is a bummer. We were hoping he would sit out, but looks like he's going to play.
Yeah, and that only increases the blowout factor there, but it would have been nice if he kind of just took the night off.
Yeah, because then, I mean, we would get full-blown Jimmy Butler. Like, we would get him taking over, but we both love Jrue Holiday tonight. I mean, with Anthony Davis out tonight, or doubtful, Holiday's had a 36% usage rate when he's sat out games, and I mean, he's coming off just a monster game, going 32, 9, and 6, and I mean, he's been great coming off the bench, but if Evans sits, he obviously gets a huge bump and would just become a must play for me.
Right, and then with Anthony Davis out, they're going to be leaning on those two, even if Evans does play. So, but yeah, I mean, obviously you're not going to expect 58 fantasy points from him tonight like he did against Houston, but this is another nice matchup. So, I mean, 40 points definitely in play, and for 6,700, that's nice in both cash and tournaments.
Yeah, and if Evans does sit for some reason, I do think Cole's he's a more of a value play than Holiday is because Holiday's kind of crept up in price, but Holiday's not bad. 4,300 on FanDuel, 51 on DK. He's averaging 10, 4, and 4 in the last 5 games, playing close to 30 minutes on average. So against this Kings defense, who've given up the 6th most fantasy points to opposing point guards, I think Cole's in play for me if you need a deeper value play.
Yeah, that's fair. Cole's a nice value, but I do think I would like to have one of the Wall, Rondo, or Holiday. That's kind of where I'm going tonight. I don't think it's necessarily worth it to sort of go down in the values unless Evans sits, and then I think Cole's a solid value.
Yeah, definitely. He's kind of more of a last resort, and I would definitely rank Joseph higher if Lowry does sit.
Right.
Just price considered. Moving over to shooting guard, like you said, Tyreke Evans is questionable tonight. I mean, he keeps having MRIs and he keep going back clean, and he goes down the next game. And it's hard to really trust him for playing, but I mean, he does have upside when he plays. But you are really risking it here if you do play him tonight because he is in a good spot. But
I think you just take all your Evans love and put it onto Holiday, and just then you don't have to worry about it. Yeah,
no, I'm definitely with you there. I'm not playing him tonight, but I'm kind of more hoping he sits, if anything.
Right. Definitely.
But you like Jimmy Butler tonight.
He
is a high-priced option, top-price shooting guard on the slate. Gets a great matchup against the Lakers. and you're going a little bit different than I am tonight.
Yeah, this is definitely contrarian play, and I understand why you would probably want to fade him tonight. But I think he could dominate this game in 25 to 30 minutes and get 3 to 4 steals, and I mean, clearly he's that type of player, but I just think he can get a lot of the peripheral stats tonight in a short amount of time. So even if he only gets 30 or so minutes, I think he can still be a high-end option.
Yeah, which is always rare for Butler anyway, because, I mean, they don't call him Jimmy Minutes for nothing. So.
Right.
If Lowry does sit tonight, I really like DeMar DeRozan, especially in tournaments. He's going to carry a higher usage, and he already has a pretty high usage, nearing 30% on the season already. So that would take a bump, and he's been playing really well of late, and obviously a matchup against the Knicks it's not a bad one, but it's not a great one either. So he's definitely a great GPP play, especially if Lowry sits.
Yeah, if Lowry sits, he's a great tournament play. I mean, we've seen the potential even recently, so he's going to get his shots and he's going to get his minutes. And at 8,000, he's got nice upside tonight.
Yeah, I mean, he's went 45 plus fantasy points in 4 of the last 10 games, so he's definitely shown the upside. We're not big on the Milwaukee-Memphis game, but I think one of my favorite cash game shooting guards is Chris Middleton tonight. A little bit cheaper than the top option guys there, and I mean, the guy's been actually near DeMar DeRozan for consistency and production of late, averaging 22, 6, and 5 in the last 4 games. So it's not a bad matchup against Memphis. I think they still scare people off, but Memphis is allowing the 5th highest field goal percentage to opposing shooting guards this season, so he's in play for me.
Right, love him as a cash game option. He might not have quite that upside to sort of that you're looking for in a tournament, but he's very consistent, and you can basically plug him in and forget it. So yeah, he's a great cash game option tonight.
Yeah, I mean, he plays a ton of minutes as well. He's averaged 35 on the season. He's played 36 in the last 4 games, so he's definitely in play. And if you're looking at cheaper options, I think that middle tier range belongs to Will Barton.
Yes.
I mean, the guy's been playing 26 minutes on average in the last 6 games, coming off a nice 37 DK point game where he just played 26 minutes. So he's definitely in play for me. It's hard because I think he threads the line of a cash game and GPP play tonight, but I don't mind him in both.
Yeah, and he's probably going to be high owned, but I don't care. I love him as a play. He saves you so much cap, and he's got a pretty high floor and high ceiling. So that's pretty much what you're asking for when you're looking for a DFS play, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that could really hinder him tonight is minutes. I mean, we've seen occasionally Denver come out where he's played, smaller minutes, but with that high total, with them going to have to keep up with Washington, it's really hard to see that happening tonight.
Right. Yeah, no, I mean, he's always got that chance of a dud, but I think his minutes have been more often than not positive lately.
Yeah, definitely. And if you want a poor man's Will Barton, Gary Harris playing big minutes there. 30 minutes in the last 6 games. And, I mean, the guy's been averaging steals like crazy, averaging 2 a game over the last 6. Of course, he's coming off 11 steals in the last 3 games, but he's been fairly consistent scoring the ball, double-digit scoring in the last 3 games against tougher opponents. So if you're looking for a value play, I don't think Gary Harris is a bad option.
Right. I don't think many people are going to be on him because obviously they're going to be on Barton. So I think he's an interest, not hedge, but I just like that perimeter in that Denver-Washington game. So I think he's a nice option as well.
If you're going any cheaper with the Melo news, Langston Galloway definitely in play for me. Gets a bump when Melo sits and starting to become a factor again of late because he started to play 26 minutes on average over the last 5 games. Played 33 with Melo sitting last time, went 21, 3, and 5 with 3 steals. He's definitely in play for me tonight, even against the tough Toronto backcourt at that price.
Right, and I mean, if Lowry sits, that makes it a little easier there, and then you're not as worried about the blowout factor. So, yeah, he's a nice tournament option, and the price is so good that you kind of just fall into a value there.
Yeah, there are some injury concerns with the Lakers backcourt. Lou Williams did go sick, has a respiratory infection, listed as questionable. Same with Kobe. He's questionable to play tonight. So you could see just Jordan Clarkson and D'Angelo Russell, but it's always going to come down to who sees Jimmy Butler.
Right. And again, more likely than not, this is going to be an ugly game for the Lakers. So and other than, yeah, I just don't see how they're going to like, score. I don't see who's going to be scoring the fantasy points for them tonight. So
There's better value.
Yeah.
Moving over to small forward, Paul George. I think he's one of my favorite points per dollar plays tonight because he's below 9K on both sides. He's 8,900. Gets an Atlanta defense that hasn't been very good this season. He's coming off back-to-back 30 real point games. Looks like his shot is back 52% from the field that game, 45 in the game before. So, even when he wasn't scoring or shooting the ball well, he was still scoring 40 fantasy points. So, I just think he's a great option tonight, cash game wise and GPP because he carries a high upside.
Yeah, no, he's a really good play in both tournaments and cash. So, 8,900, you have to pay up, but it's worth it for him tonight.
Yeah, if you're looking a little cheaper, Danilo Gallinari is always in play. Just really consistent of late, averaging 22, 1-4 last 6 games, and with the matchup against Washington, how can you not like Gallinari tonight? Another perimeter player you're on.
Right. Again, you just sort of zone it in, and he's not. I don't know that he's a tournament play tonight, but I like him for cash.
Yeah, would you? I know you like Otto Porter as well. I do too. You think Porter for a little bit cheaper has a little bit more upside than he does with his recent play?
Yeah, with value and price considered, I actually think he has more tournament upside tonight.
Just for a little bit cheaper, points per dollar wise. Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. I think even with Beal coming back, those three are still the big producers, especially with Wall dishing out assists like he is.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking cheaper, once again with the Melo news, Derek Williams, small forward on DK, power forward on FanDuel, but he's coming off back-to-back 40 fantasy point games, and with Melo out, he's a great value tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been dominating lately, and tonight just makes the usage so much easier to get. He's already kind of getting the minutes anyway, even with Melo there. So this is a big night. You pretty much want to get him in your lineups.
Yeah, the good thing is, he plays the 3 and the 4, so it's always nice. And nearly identical stat lines over the last 2 games. 19-4 and 10, 19-4 and 14 against OKC and Charlotte. So at that price tag, it's definitely in play for me because that Vegas total is still leaning towards the Knicks putting up some points.
And you liked Jeff Green, correct?
I do like Jeff Green. Coming off a big 30-point game. Obviously, I'm not chasing those stats, but before then, I think the guy's been pretty solid off the bench. So I definitely prefer Derek Williams on DK, but I think Jeff Green's a nice secondary option at small forward on FanDuel.
Agreed.
Do you want to talk about Alonzo G, or were you just kidding?
No. Well, okay. So we brought this up before the show, and I was like, Alonzo G? And he was like, no. He just was like, no, stop it. He has been pretty solid lately, and especially for the price, he's a decent option, but he doesn't really have the upside you're looking for. So, maybe throw him in one lineup, but I don't have too high expectations for him.
I can see where he would pop up on your radar. 23, 26, 24 DK points the last 3 games. Been seeing minutes. So I get it, but it's
Alonzo G.
Moving over to power forward, Anthony Davis is your big questionable tag tonight, but he's more doubtful with anything with a concussion. That means Ryan Anderson's going to pop in, and obviously he's going to be a great play at his price tonight. And in the 5 games that AD has missed this season, Anderson's averaged 39 minutes, and he's averaged 16 and 8. So I do think he's a better player off the bench just because he seems to get hotter that way. But he's going to play a ton of minutes either way.
Yeah, he's going to get a ton of minutes, ton of usage, and he has high upside. Even when he's coming off the bench, we've seen nights where he just goes four 3-pointers in the first half and just has a huge night. So the upside is there. 5,700 on FanDuel. That's a great price.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at the last time he played the Kings, I mean, he got 25 DK points in just 20 minutes there. So, I mean, if you
Yeah.
almost doubled that, I mean, obviously it's pushing it, but still, I mean, he does have upside tonight, and obviously a great play because, I mean, it's Boogie burned a lot of people last time, so I'm curious to see what his ownership is. And I was still on him. I went down with the sinking ship because I thought he was
Yeah.
going to still roll, but with some rest, he's definitely back in play tonight for me. Gets a nice matchup. He is your most expensive player on the slate, but I think he's going to be worth it.
Again, either way, if you didn't fade him, it's like it's not your fault, you know. Like what he had what he had done over the last week or two was just pretty much unfadable, even though the stats told you not to. But yeah, tonight he's got a day of rest in, so I think he's back to being pretty much the number one play of the night. So
yeah. I mean, if you look who he's going to be facing off against, I mean, Ashik and Ryan Anderson down low,
and Vegas is always on his side in terms of fantasy potential. So yeah, that Sacramento offense, he's going to be doing it again tonight.
Yeah, it's really hard because power forward, you're looking at him. Cousins is, power forward eligible. So you like Millsap tonight, but
Yeah.
you just rather pay up for Cousins or go down to Ryan Anderson or go a little bit cheaper. So,
Hey, in cash games though, you could put Millsap in the forward spot on DK and sort of ride them both. I think that's a decent option. But yeah, like you said, if you're looking at one option for the top spots, it's got to be Cousins.
yeah, I mean, the nice thing is both Gasol and Cousins are center eligible now on FanDuel. So Millsap is your top power forward option there, but he is a little bit expensive. But there's a lot of value elsewhere you can fit him in. But I mean, he's always been the more consistent play, so I don't mind him. And with Melo out, Porzingis, I think he's definitely more of a GPP play for me still, even though he's been pretty consistent lately.
Right, yeah, definitely more of a tournament play, but you do like that upside with all that Melo offensive usage gone. So, yeah, I like him. He could potentially go off against this Raptors team.
Yeah, I mean, you look at what they've done, and the Raptors allow a ton of blocks actually to big men. So Porzingis, we've seen him have that big monster block upside. I mean, he has 8 in the last 4 games. So
yeah.
If he's not throwing down putback jams, I mean, he's launching the ball into the seats off slots.
And at least you get a good sweat watching him because he's fun to watch either way.
Yeah, but he always has foul trouble potential where he can really hurt you. So that's why he's kind of more of a GPP move.
Mm-hmm.
There are some guys cheaper tonight. I mean, if you're looking a little bit lower, Willie Cauley-Stein is power forward eligible on FanDuel, center on DK. He's one of my favorite value plays tonight just because Rudy Gay's out. He's going to play alongside DeMarcus Cousins. And, I mean, Cauley-Stein's been great, averaging 10 and 9 in the last 5 games with 3.2 blocks plus steals.
Rudy Gay is like – he's the worst good player ever. Like, I feel like every night he's out, I'm kind of, like, excited because of the usage and where it's going to go to everyone else. Yeah, and it was the same thing in Toronto. Like, they started winning after he left. I kind of feel bad for the guy.
Yeah, I mean, you love that offense more without Rudy Gay. So it's nice to have him out tonight.
Yeah.
But there is some news that's probably going to shake the world. And everyone who's been saying free Bobby Portis for the last 3 months, it looks like it's going to happen at least until the All-Star break.
Yeah, that's exciting. So we're going to get to see him. And tonight's pretty much the night where you're going to get him at a very, very low price. So
in a matchup against the Lakers, I think he's a great salary relief play. I'm curious to see what his minutes are at. I'm probably not going to go crazy with him getting that 25 before, and we've seen him go off. I mean, his per 36 stats are insane. 16
and with that blowout factor, there's maybe even a little more incentive for him, like for them not to pull him. Definitely. It's not like he's a star player. So even if they are blowing him out, he still might get even more minutes than usual tonight. So
yeah, I think he's your cheaper option, and like him and Willie Cauley-Stein are the guys you're going down for value, deep value below Ryan Anderson.
Right.
Moving on to center, where Cousins is not center eligible, Pau Gasol is your top option. Matchup wise, the blowout factor is there, but they are limited down there in the front court with no Noah. It's just him, Gibson, and and no Mirotic as well. So you could still see 30 minutes out of him, but the blowout factor is definitely there.
Yeah, it's there. It's looming. But again, I think Gasol and Butler tonight could get a full night's work in 30 minutes. So it'll be interesting. I do like Gasol as sort of I do kind of like him as a pay-up option. So if you can fit him in with sort of a Paul George or something else like that, then maybe it kind of makes it plausible to fade Boogie. But
yeah. I mean, there's a big discount. I mean, if maybe you're hoping Boogie puts up just a 48, 50-point game and Gasol goes for 43, 45,
right,
it can happen. I mean, that's a great swerve, but it's scary. It's scary
it's
to do.
Definitely, it's a scary ride. You set that lineup quickly and don't look at it until lock.
Yeah, it's rough. But I mean, centers, you're really paying up, or I mean, there's not much out there. I mean, on DK, it's a little easier because you got Willie Cauley-Stein there, who's just kind of my favorite play. You like Valanciunas there. I think he's a great mid-range option. He's been really consistent this season. You can kind of always count on him for just that easy double-double, going 13-11, and doesn't play big minutes, but plays around 26 per game and still gets it done.
Right, and we're talking pretty much DraftKings here because I think it's pretty important to get at least Gasol in there if you're not playing Cousins. So, yeah, that's pretty much how I'm looking at center tonight. But, yeah, I do like Valanciunas. I think he has high upside against this New York team. Willie Cauley-Stein. And Jokic?
He's Ron Burgundy. Jokic is always in playing tournaments because his upside is just phenomenal for the price. I mean, you look at what he does in games. It's just insane. I mean, 18 minutes against Atlanta, he goes 15, 3, and 10 with 2 steals and a block. Boston, I mean, the guy sprains his ankle and still puts up 20 DK points. So definitely a good tournament play.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially where you can roster 2 centers. Like you can get him and Cauley-Stein if you want to. So.
And we all love Miles Turner, but he's kind of limited right now by Mahinmi. He's not a horrible play, but the upside really isn't what it was for that little stretch there.
Yeah, I mean, you like he still hit value. I mean, 16 and 6 and with a block in 18 minutes. But yeah, I think that high upside that we saw earlier, just not in play for me. So maybe he gets a bump in minutes. Maybe the coach figures it out, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's annoying.
That's going to wrap things up here. Thanks for hanging out with us on this rare Big Thursday slate. Check out dailyfantasycafe.com with all our great tools and content.